The question we have for you today is all about attaching. What if I group, or what if I attach? And what's the difference between them? Hi, I'm Bette from Bette's Makes, and this is the Creative Crafters Podcast, Your Questions Answered. Now that's an interesting question because attaching and grouping, they sound like they would be the same, but they're not exactly the same. So if you went into Design Space and put a couple of things on the screen, and you decided you wanted to make them in a group, such as a star, a circle, and a heart, you place them in a certain way, and you grabbed all of those on the screen, in other words, you selected all, you could then group them. And then what would happen on the screen is you could move them around and as a group, and you wouldn't have to worry about them falling apart. So for example, if you were doing a card, and most of us do, and you put a score line down the middle, you'd want to group those together as well so they don't come apart when you move them about the screen. Now, the biggest problem is a group is a group, but unless you really want that score line on the card to be in the correct position, you will have to select the card and the score line and attach them. And that will tell the software that they really belong together, not just in a group, but in a way that you can cut the card and the score line will stay in that exact position. Now let's go back to the example of the three shapes. Now with the three shapes that we put on the screen, we did group them. Now if you go to cut them, they'll be cut separately, especially if they're different colors. For example, you could have a red heart, a yellow star, and maybe a green square, and if you grouped those together, they would still cut on different mats according to the color. Now, if you grab all three of those again on the screen and hit attach, they will all take on the same color because they're going to be on the same mat, and they will stay in the order and in the same position as when you asked it to attach. Because what attach does is says to Design Space, I want these shapes to be in this exact position when we go to the mat, and that's where it will be. Now, one third example for this would be you have a greeting you're going to put on a card. You put the card shape on, you put the score line in place, and then you add some text to the front of the card, such as happy birthday or happy anniversary. Now that is text, score line, and card. If you simply went to make it now, they would all go in different areas because they are not attached together. And yes, on the screen you can group them so they move around the screen as you're doing your designs, but it is not telling Design Space, I really want these attached the way they are. That's exactly how I want them to be. For example, your text could be draw, your score line's a score, and your card is a cut. Even though they may be grouped on the screen, you still need to attach them so they don't move from their position when you go to make that card. So I hope that answers a lot of questions about attaching and grouping and the little bit of difference there is between the two. You must attach things to make that perfect project. This has been the Creative Crafters Podcast, Your Questions Answered.